Took a shower. uh, it's easy to get talking. It just we ain't rolling the Packers, but remember, I'm a closet Packer fan. I admit it. I probably remember all the cheese factories in Grantsburg, Wisconsin, Siren, Wisconsin. Apparently, was it who was it that had a place up in Siren? I never did make. Was that Kevin? Kevin Carlson from Best Painters. Remember that? I saw George. I talked to him about him a little bit. I saw him up there at the library maybe a month or a few months before they shut everything down. George. George Foreman. Nah. Remember the guy from Michigan married to old Babyface's sister? Yeah. That guy. I forgot her name. Oh, it's easy to get talking because once you start defending yourself, you're like, oh, well, what about that? Oh, what about? And you say, well, yeah, you probably did a one, two, or three things that were. I mean, hasn't everybody done one or two things in their life? Probably a lot more. But but the last 10 years up here have been a nightmare. And I mean nightmare. Huh. You say, comb your hair. Look at that. See, that's the thing. You can see it's starting to thin out a little bit there. Now, if it were me, I would take that buzzer over there and remember that? And you're like, come on, man. Yeah, see, mostly it's from where Mama combed. That's where Mama combed it, and so I kept combing it, and it's not that thin, just a little. I don't have a widow's peak, and but yeah, my hair, the dollies, the Dollhammers. Remember that? The beer factory up there in Rogers. Remember that? They never called me and offered me a job. But I did go to Anoka one time, didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express, but there was about 1,000 Dollhammers walking, in the park up there when I was about like this here tall. And I was like, whoa, they got a lot of these. And they had all the pictures and all the, you know, and you're like, hey, and daddy's like, you ain't a dog. Why should I help? You ain't even well, I don't know why you talking to me, daddy. Let's read the Bible. What do you say? You want to read the Bible? You want to see me read the Bible, don't you, huh? So we're in what? We got a couple topics later, folks. And I appreciate you tuning in, giving me, because your time is valuable. That's your most valuable asset. And like we say, I mean, anybody with a microphone and a computer. So if you're listening to me, for whatever reason, I love and appreciate you. And if anybody ain't told you they love you today, I love you. Okay? And look, here's the deal. You're like, yeah, so you only, okay, so I'm going to give you a little preview, a little forecast here. So you only get, this is what I'm thinking for later. Did I say you only get one mama? But oh, Sadie Robertson, she'll say, hey, what you mean? I got one mama, two mama, three, one papa, two papa day. You're going to have to ask her what that's all about. I said, oh, that guy upstairs, he probably papa two. Yeah. And you're like, what? That's grandparents and all that. So I'm saying, but my mama's always telling, and it's frustrating. So you say, well, you better honor them. We got to talk about that. because I'm finally getting frustrated. My mother's been retired for 3 years. You remember that? I'm an only child. Yeah, there's no getting around it. I was a mama's boy. Yup, there's got to be a few mama's boys out there, don't they? Huh? You love your mama? Your daddy wasn't around. She was like your best friend. You remember that? Yeah. Ha ha. Like, what's up? Okay, so that's later this afternoon. But we got to read the Bible because remember, we got to chase the devil off. Look, y'all see what I'm going through. If we got any chance, we got to read this Bible here and we're going to read it out loud, folks. If you got that, and you probably should do the King, look, for the sake of, like I said, your best, it says it's your sword. Remember that? Piercing bone and marrow. This here, God's word, this ain't Domino's pizza, but this here is the bread of life. Yeah? So you're like, oh, it says it pierces bone and marrow. That's pretty serious. That sounds pretty serious to me. You say, what's that mean, old camper? Hey, you're like, what? So later on, we're going to talk about what? You only get one mama. Say, we got to lighten it up a little. You don't want to just come at people with all this serious stuff up, but it's important. But we did that. We're going to talk about you because she's always, you only get moms are, hey, look. And then you got all these other factors. Remember that? I wasn't too good at factoring. I did the foil a couple times, and they say, hey, look, camper, hey, we know you want to send rockets to the moon there, but you ain't going to make it. And you're like, they're thinking, you should go into accounting. Because for accounting, all this here, counting on your fingers and the bean counting. Yes, sir. And you're like, huh? And you're like, yeah, right? You're like, he's like, oh, Wilson. He's like, nice guy, right? Remember that? He's like, look, Nick, it don't matter what old McCann doing there. Look, all you got to know is you're pretty good at algebra. You'll be all right. Here, you got to learn that chart of accounts. You remember how you remember everything? Do that. And then after that, all them about them 50, 75 formulas about, yeah, you gotta send a rocket to the moon with them there, and you got to know them all. But it's like anything. You're pretty good at remembering stuff. So do that, try to. He's like, hey, now we're talking. He's like, oh, and I can't fillet a fish on Facebook, go Zuckerberg. Hey, and you're like, after that, hey, we'll work on the taxes. We'll get that balance sheet. Okay? Look. He's like, you'll be all right. You don't have to know a lot of math. And it's kind of fun because remember that? What was my favorite thing to do up at the farm there when we didn't have to, remember that? You didn't have to lock the doors. But of course, I was in the security and old Grandpa walked. Oh, he's walking around thinking, what is wrong with this kid? He's locking all the doors and we're out in the middle. We're in the backwoods of Wisconsin. And the nearest house is about 500 yards. And the next thing after that is a cheese factory. I mean, he's like, who do you think's coming here? And I'm like, Granddaddy, hey, they got this thing called satellite TV and the internet now. And if they really want to find us, they will. And he's like, oh, well, I don't know. I'll be over here reading my Lewis and Moore. Let me know if you need anything. Hey. And you're like, okay, you only get one mama. That's important. To try to balance that honor thy mother, honor thy father, it's tricky, right? But it's a commandment. So, but you say, well, you're a mama's boy, you love your mama, but she getting old, she helped a little bit, she all you ever had. That's why you wasn't really worried about too many friends, because she didn't have any other ones. She gave y'all her attention, like that guy. Mm-hmm. Oh, and you're like, Tell us more about this Bible here. And it said bone and marrow. So this is our sword, right? That's what it says. Okay. And remember, iron sharpen iron. Mm-hmm. You're like, yeah, you should probably read that King James version if you want the real sharp sword. But see, I might have some friends out there that say, hey, what's he talking about? And I'm like, I'm all right. We're gonna read out of this one here first. I do this one later because I want you to be able to understand it. I want to understand it. I want to comb my hair. Coffee. We don't drink a whole lot around here other than coffee. Can you imagine what they would do if they could prove there was like a cigarette butt or some alcohol around here? I mean, Matthew'd be off the desk job. He'd be over. Did he ever get off the desk job? I don't know. Hey, who cares? You know, folks, you know, it's strange. Man, I got so much good. I mean, it's kind of like that old saying, like so many books, so little time. I got so many the Mile High Club 10,000 foot view of listening to the greatest minds of all time debate over 30 years. Like, I got so many to talk, like, I don't even know where to start. But we're going to work on it. And you got to remember, folks, we got a devil out there. Remember? Remember that guy? And he don't want us to talk about that there. And he's doing everything to get you distracted with all that but a bing, bing, bing and a 6 feet and hey, let's put them masks on too. That'll help make they won't even I mean you know we can't identify nobody. Oh boy, and they already not talking to each other. Hey, whoa. And you're like, what? You're like, hey, ho, hey. You know? Fired up, ready to go. Fired up, ready to go. Y'all remember that? See, now you got to be careful because what that is, they'll be like, oh, he's talking about starting a fight. No, remember old Obama say, fair and balanced, fired up, ready to go. Fired up, ready to go. Remember that? See, that's the thing. Remember how I told you I'm friends with everybody? But look, you can't put me, you can't they can't like agree with you on everything. And old Amarillo Slim's like, hey, what's made you who you are? Well, you asked? I thought you'd never ask. I'm telling you. So I've taken a little bit from here and a little bit from there. And oh, and remember my favorite thing to do was sit at that table with old Granddaddy Harold. Remember that? I still got my trigger finger and hey, son, now I know what he's talking about, not taking none of them wooden nickels. Oh, please help me, Jesus. Y'all prayer warriors out there still, I need a little help. Can I get you on the horn? Help old camper boy, bunker boy. Brother Moldy, pray for me. We getting there. Thank you, Jesus. Oh, yeah. So you sat around like one of your you were that guy up at the library there with always at the puzzle table. You weren't in the corner, always staring at all the girls, making them uncomfortable, picking your nose like that other guy. No, you were. Oh, you didn't like go in the bathroom and like chop up drugs, like not like that. No, in a government center. Oh, that was the one I couldn't believe. I know. Okay, we up known for a little. Hey, but I'm like, hey, oh, that's a funny one. Don't let me forget. Tell that a guy went in the bathroom for about 45 minutes, and remember, I'm that guy that's doing the puzzles all the time. So I kind of and remember how I like to walk, make sure, see what everybody's doing. Remember that. So I might have noticed that he was in there for almost an hour. Remember that, and I can hear this, and I'm thinking, that sound like I never heard that sound before in a library bathroom. Especially, oh, by the way, hey, buddy, hey, I know you're a polar bear, but we got a government center about 6 feet that away, and you might not want to be doing that in there because I'm pretty sure they got a few sheriffs behind that wall over there too. Yeah, remember that? Ha ha! And I'm like, dude, what are you doing in there? Yeah, that one. That was the wildest experience at the library. You remember snitches get stitches? Oh, you ran over to no, none of my bit. Hey, it says God leave vengeance to God, except when you ain't got no choice. Silence ain't an option. Remember that? And you're like, hey, oh wait, that old pretty 10 out of 10 gal. Say, hey, we know you've been listening to them Tom members and all that for a while, but remember, there's some real nice ones over here too. Watch your hey. And I'm like, yeah, well remember I hang out with everybody? Remember that? And she's like, don't forget there's safety in numbers. And I'm like, yeah, I don't like that 10 a.m. Monday and ain't nobody around, and then I'm in the middle of the woods and there's a bunch of guys and they got all their guns in that room over there. Yeah, remember that? Yeah, ha ha. Fired up, ready to go. Fired up, ready to go. I like that, man. You gotta admit though, when that guy got a talking that Obama man, he was a natural, kind of like me. Oh yeah. I mean that guy, not that guy, but that. Oh, what you got? Like coffee? You're like, hey, ho. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That Obama, you can see that's why we're fair and balanced. You got to, if you can't appreciate, see, remember that? Hey, when we remember that teacher I told you I had a crush on and what? No, ninth, first one, remember? Oh, these older gals are kind of. I'm pretty young, but what I mean, she kind of. I mean, and to my teacher, I'm thinking, yeah, there's a little something different about these women here. And she's like, go home and study that, remember? And I'm like, yes, ma'am. I'll be back tomorrow. I will know all that. Half the kingdom. You're like, but you probably, hey, so you remember all that? We were taught back then, uh, you respect the office of the presidency. Mm-hmm. All this being crazy, yelling, and just being mean and all that. You can disagree on the policy. Mm-hmm. But something has changed. And I don't like it. It's uncomfortable because guess what? I like everybody. Mm-hmm. You say, well, But even I will admit, man, when old Mr. Obama, boy, when he, remember that, oh, fired up, ready to go. I mean, even if he was like he'd get the Republicans, they'd start looking around and man, they want to go to start to dancing and they're like, fire it up, ready to go, yeah. But anyways, so I would recommend if you're in a pinch, in a bind, and you really, really want, like I'm saying, you probably want that King James there, but I'm an expert and a professional, so I do this. What I can. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. Remember, I know nothing. That's the great thing. You can read this. You could read this the rest of your life, and it'd be the only book you need, and you'd learn something new. Or yeah, pretty tough to pay the bills. Doctor, lawyer, accountant, and that accountant thing is. Some of them lawyers, I mean, they won't tell you everything anyway, so you might have to go look some stuff up in your own. And pretty sure old Tammy Dietrich married like a doctor or something. I mean, wow, whatever happened to her? Oh yeah, I mean, she was fine, and I had to like sit next to her. God bless her soul. Remember, she's like, and she never went and said, "Hey, look, I'm really, really nice, and my daddy and all them, but I can't sit by this guy anymore." No, God bless her soul. Hmm. What you saying? Comb your hair, camper. Mm-hmm. Come on, old timer. Mm-hmm. So, the topic, I'm saying, I'm thinking, because I'm just going what's on my head, because I'm getting a little upset being a mama's boy, you know. You miss your mama's attention a little bit. And see, you got to balance that, right? With she want you to be able to be independent, and she want you to be all right when she gone. She don't agree with you on about anything politically. You know, I say, hey, mama, would it be all right if we build a wall? Nope, we don't need that. And I'm thinking that might help with the drugs a little bit. And then they say, well, nope, they're flying them over anyways. And I say, no, that's just a few of them guys driving out that 10 out of the real pretty girl with the goat. They got a few, yeah, they few of them guys got them private planes and all that, yeah. But and then you got a lot going under, but most of them, a lot of them are walking over. Remember? Can we stop the hemorrhaging? Can we take care of our own people first? Remember that? Without you hating my guts. Remember, because I'm the guy who agrees with you. When you went over there and got, now we're having a little few problems because they're really, really mad. Remember? And we understand most of us and us young guys. I'm young enough to care. You know, some of them older guys, they don't care. And most guys, all they want to do is watch ESPN. So if you boys ever wonder why you're getting a divorce, because you're more worried about what on that TV over there than loving your woman like this Bible here said. One of the benefits of being raised by all women, say, uh, y'all, old bad boy, he like, you sure you ain't a housewife? And I'm like, no, I just want to plant some tomatoes. I need tomatoes, lots of them. I'll make pizza sauce over there. And you're like, huh? And so, mm, I'm hungry. I don't know. It's emotional to revisit some of these topics. And so I'm saying right now, like what I'm dealing with, other than all the other 10,000 things, like them maybe trying to, I don't know, remember that, is my parents are aging. And it's one thing to go as a, see, now, if you're an only child, you're going to appreciate, you can appreciate it. Mm. Oh, little Bubby and all that, they're like, this is starting to make sense. But now we know a little bit why you couldn't sit still, and we still liked you. Yeah. So you're like, You're like, well, so it's definitely, but here, I think, remember the balance. I think we're out of balance. Remember how the crime, the time needs to fit the crime. Remember when we used to do that? I don't know. Because when you go from an only child with your mama all the time, and then she get old and kind of, you know, she kind of tired of it. Yeah, that's fine. And then she like, I kind of just want to hang out by myself and chill out and look out this here window and do whatever I feel like without worrying about you. Remember that? Yeah, yeah, I understand, mama. Like I get that. But hey, would it be all right if you answer the phone about it once a month? Would that be all right, mama? And she like, well, I don't. Has it been that long since we talked? I said, yeah, mama. I said, mama, did you forget about that polar bear across the street and all that? Hey, him, hi, but bang me. Hey, if I call, you got to pick up that phone. Okay. I'm trying to. I know you're getting old and you want to enjoy your retirement, and that's fine. But remember me, your firstborn, and all that stuff that's going on. You think you're my mom? You think when I call once a month, you could pick up that phone for me and say, "Hey, are y'all right? You still got all them 10 fingers and 10 toes there, son? I'm getting really old, huh? You think?" So I don't know if it was the political thing because it kind of started around Trump. Nah, that's tricky. Yeah, we won't go there, but I'll just say that. So that's something on my mind because it's different. Remember how I said they say, and is that why they trying to are they trying to make me a lost cause? Are they trying to say, hey, this guy's got kind of a low skill set, and remember when an only child's parents die, they kind of die with him. They got some saying like, you remember all them sayings I was saying that kind of true, something along that lines. I don't know if it's part of you, but yeah, you become pretty dependent on your mama, especially when your daddy out playing with that little white ball since you was two, and mama's really pissed off with him. I won't, you know, you get to see him just a little bit. Yeah, that thing. hmm And so you get by, you run up and down the basketball court, you cook about 500 pizzas on the weekend, you have a couple of girlfriends, and you take a class here and then. Oh boy, you got that Bible going on and off, huh? Dang, we forgot about that. If I was not committed to, and I mean, I like to stray away from those clinical terms they use, but remember how I just said there's a serenity. I find that, I mean, in the chaos. hmm So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. That was interesting. Remember that girl I said that kind of looked like Sadie Robertson a little bit? I couldn't see her face. No, I never told you about that, did I? You know, and you're like, what you talking about, Willis? No, some gal. I was surprised that some gal told me recently. And I guess the Bible says your enemies may be, or can be, or will be, or something like that in your own household. That sounds pretty serious, remember? Now, so that's a topic I want to talk about. Where'd my pencil go? Uh, hey, I know, probably nobody. I'm guessing we got like one or two lawmen watching these saying, do we got enough for an indictment yet? And no, and we're never gonna. So they might get bored, and maybe these will just be a home video collection. But it's important to me, and it's really cool to be able to have it on video. Where when my grandkids get old and they're like, why were we so good looking? And then they pull out that old granddaddy Nick and they're like, oh, that's why. Look at that handsome fella. He clean up pretty good. And you're like, yeah. Huh? And you're like, So we're gonna talk about mama, cause that's what I'm going through. In the midst of all this crazy, like I could at any moment mama could be gone. It's the truth. They could give me the Breitbart heart attack. I'm thinking there's safety in numbers for a while. As long as you play it pretty right here, pretty cool, right? Maybe, maybe not. We're not getting arrogant because remember, the meek shall inherit the earth, but we're pretty pissed off, so we're doing our best to be a nice guy. We really are. But that's a great topic, mama, because when you're an only child, right? And then now I gotta live life, and now she's at the point where I guess it's like Ava said, you don't care. And if it has anything to do with anything you've been dealing with for the last 40 years, and as you can see, I have a natural tendency to draw attention for some reason, natural talent, I guess. So you're like, well, So that'll be one mama. Because what's going on is it because mama's a good person. I mean, she's really a really good person. She worked hard. She deserves to rest and enjoy her. You know, she wasn't no Grandma Lois, but she was pretty good. Um, yeah, that'd be one for sure. We did that one. But I got my hair combed. I'm gonna finish the coffee and read the Bible. The problem is people just don't care anymore. I don't know if it's part of that seared conscience. I mean, it's a little bit of everything, but it's really tough to not offend people, especially with this thing. And then you get me, my personality. I mean, right? So you're like, they can't even, they didn't spell right. So Bible Gateway sends me an email at 12:59 p.m. Celebrate Black History Month. So they miss it says books on racial justice, except they left out the T. It's at ADD. I do that all the time, but I'm just saying I don't post emails that go around the world, so not a big deal at all. So this morning I would have read what I would have read. Yeah, Matthew, the Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 27, verses 51 through 66. So we got so it says I think I need readers. Reader glasses. You're getting old. We're getting old. Our generations we're like old. I don't know, I guess people just don't care. Or they're so caught up in their flesh. They just what they'll trade this life in the flesh and the drunkenness for eternity in hell. Not me. I'm thinking them dogs are gonna start to bark pretty soon, so I'm gonna drink my coffee first. Is that okay? Yeah. And so Daddy's a little different. You gotta remember. Comes from that Trump generation, that real toxic masculinity. Remember that? Uh, well, that's what my mom will say. And I disagree. I don't, again, as wild as I am, yeah, we're different in a lot of ways, but you know, there was a lot of love, you know what I mean? Like I said, doing all the golf and the golf tournaments, the father son fish, you know, we did a lot of stuff together, and you know, I love that, man. No doubt about it. So, you know, but I don't know, get the influence of the wicked witch of the West stepmother. And that's really the truth. So, you know, daddy always wanted, of course, because it made his life tough. Trust me, I understand. I've talked to a lot of guys. That child support, like I said, your life is pretty much over. Unless you're like you got a really, really good job. But if you're just working 9 to 5, man, you ain't, I mean, right? You say, well, you should have thought of, well, like I said, a lot of times the mother is not, she's not worthy. She might be half the kingdom, but she ain't worthy. And you think you're just figuring this out now, Nick? Man, some of it, a lot of it. Remember all the 5 different stories? I don't know if they didn't trust me or they're trying to protect me or shelter me or it's part of being an only child or the first grandchild or what. But there's a lot to it. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean these oh and you know, there's only so much you can do. Once the time goes by, try to go back and kids talk to their it's the damage is done already. I mean, sure, you say, well, you can be friends and this and that, no, but when you miss when these parents miss the parental experience, and then I don't know, so uh, so I guess you're more like friends, if anything, right? Or whatever. I don't know because I've never really experienced it. So, um, yeah, them dogs is going to start the bark. But I figure, we're all in. What do they got that in poker? We all in with Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you're like, huh? All in with Jesus. So, yeah, don't really care what. Don't want to make any enemies or any more enemies. I don't want to make people mad, but I gotta be myself. You gotta be yourself. Sebastian Gorka said what? He kept always, and you used to be able to say that a lot of them guys, not a super fan. Give me liberty or give me death. I don't know what that means, but it's okay for them guys to say it, so I'd be able to repeat what they said. He's Jewish or something, isn't he? I have a hard time with those Australian accents. I don't know why. Like if you're gonna waterboard me or something, like you want to extract some information, government stuff. Remember that because I was an international spy one time over there. You don't need to waterboard me. Just put me in a room with a recording of a whole bunch of like Australians talking. I'll tell you whatever you want to know. Just let me out of here. Now, the Kiwi one, that ain't bad. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, I'm tired now. I need a nap. Sleepy Joe. Me and old Sleepy Joe, we ain't, no. But old Sleepy Joe probably taking a nap. I need a little nappy. What do you say? I'll read this here, finish this little bit. I'm taking me a little. I'm gonna take me a prayer session. You know I'm praying without ceasing, right? Because that's what the Bible's telling me to do. But then I go into a super duper prayer session once in a while, without talking and all that, right? So a podcast. Wow, you gotta have some. How you get in a world with a gazillion podcasts? How you get anybody to watch your podcast? And you're not a naked lady with salad? I don't know. Because there's a lot of choices. But this ain't a podcast, is it? You got it. What is that? That's like some kind of special. Why are they so opposed to having a fish filleted? How did that become violent, inappropriate material for a child to watch, but yet you're gonna push transgender books and home? And a parent doesn't have a say in that. And if I go saying something, you might just lower that mind. Remember that? But you can't play a fish and show people. Why not? Huh? What's going on here? And you're like, and all that's going on too. Yeah. You only seem like kind of half a weirdo. Must be something to do with it there. Hmm. So, wait. You got a guy that got up in the morning, and I'm just saying, and he looked down and he said, hey, I don't think there should be that. I feel like a girl today. Yeah, yeah. And he said, hey, by the way, don't go over there, because remember Billy Bob? Preacher Billy Bob 77, him and his buddies, and now they got Kenny the trucker on them too. They over at Walmart. You might want to stay over there, but I feel like a girl. And they say, hey, come on over. You can go. Oh, now you can go party with the gals. And I can't play a fish on a Facebook. And now I got a polar bear staring me down every time. Remember? Remember that? The little white balls and all? Yeah, yeah. What's going on, yo? Huh? Hey, come on. Tell me. What you got in your pockets, man? How you doing there with them girls? So we in Matthew 27, verses 51 through 66. At that moment, the curtain in the sanctuary of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook, rocks split apart, and tombs opened. The bodies of many godly men and women who had died were raised from the dead. They left the cemetery after Jesus' resurrection, went into the holy city of Jerusalem, and appeared to many. People. The Roman officer and the other soldiers at the crucifixion were terrified by the earthquake and all that had happened. They said, this man truly was the Son of God, and many women who had come from Galilee with Jesus to care for him were watching from a distance. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of James and John, the sons of Zebedee. The burial of Jesus. As evening approached, Joseph, a rich man from Arimathea, who had become a follower of Jesus, went to Pilate and asked for Jesus' body, and Pilate issued an order to release it to him. Joseph took the body and wrapped it in a long sheet of clean linen cloth. He placed it in his own new tomb, which had been carved out of the rock. Then he rolled a great stone across the entrance and left. Both Mary Magdalene and the other Mary were sitting across from the tomb and watching. Now, just a quick sidebar. That's a good one that the Jews will always you'll hear talk about, because they're like, well, wait a minute. We said, hey, We said, hey, what's up, Nick? And you're like, well, these guys were worried about the rock getting the body getting stolen, so they're like, hey, let's put a rock there. But then they got drunk or something and passed out, so there was no way to prove it's. I go into it some up here. I'm just gonna make a note. You know, you remember I'm fair and balanced. Hey, I don't know if it's perfect. It's the basic instructions before leaving Earth, the Bible, but you say, well, there might be a loophole in there somewhere, and you're like, yeah, we closed most of them. And you're like, hey, you're like, what? You're like, well, there's a few things you need to, some gaps you need to fill here in this New Testament. So if you're honest, and you got these guys for 6,000 years, they them, you remember them experts I was talking that OT, and you're like, yeah, they might be a little skeptical about some of this here. Yeah. But I'm saying, hey, let's take it all into collection. And I'm saying, you got a better story? I'm all ears. Yeah. Hey, because if we ain't going to go with this, we got to go back to that OT. And hey, you remember them polar bears? They seem to kind of like them rules. And I'm saying, hey, I'm over here. Yeah. Know what I'm saying? Right. So the guards at the tomb. The next day on the Sabbath, the leading priests and Pharisees went to see Pilate. They told him, Sir, we remember what that deceiver once said while he was still alive. After 3 days, I will rise from the dead. So we request that you seal the tomb until the 3rd day. This will prevent his disciples from coming and stealing his body and then telling everyone he was raised from the dead. You think? That's what them Jews is wondering about still today. But I'm still like, hey, you got a better story? Where your guy at? They're like, well, I don't know. We had a couple that said, but nah, we ain't sure. And you're like, hey, I'm over here. This, if that happens, we'll be worse off than we were at first. Pilate replied, take guards and secure it the best you can. So they sealed the tomb and posted the guards to protect it. Now, we ain't posted right on the point at Cheapskate. Yeah, with old Nate Dogg washing everything. Angry old junkyard dog. We posted guards safe and yes, say. Well, here's what I say about that. Okay. You're like, you know what I mean? Like the logical step is not to, if you can't believe this, to say, hey, I think I'll go campaign Carl 999 on your fun. Remember the fun room? Hey, y'all wondering why they trying to hurt the camper? I'd start there. Pal Talk Christian section, Carl 9999999, and all them crazy people. Yeah, we got to figure out who Kenny the trucker and who he's hanging out with. Him and his buddy there, old preacher Billy Bob 777. I didn't see him though the last. He got pretty quiet. I remember that. Yeah, we got to get some guys on them. And after that, we gotta go after. I don't know that who did. Well, I don't. I still don't know who that guy was. They say Katie was blind from Oklahoma. But she had her buddy. She's the super spreader, her and Adolia. Look, Jeff Larson. Yeah. You want to talk about an imposter? Right. I don't want to be disrespectful, but I'd take a look at that guy for sure. And Adolia. And then what was that? Total depravity. Oh yeah, he used to threaten me bad. And he was a smart guy, but he was a little, I don't know. One minute he would pretend to be a Christian, and he had some gal they met on there. And you got to remember, no, I wasn't sniffing glue. You're like, what were you doing in there? Well, see, what happened was is you couldn't talk anywhere. And remember, all they're doing is arguing over in Lamb of God, and now we're kind of down to that room, and that's it. And then you got Troy, and Troy. He's supposed to be the reformed homosexual. How about that other guy? What's his name? He's always at the YMCA there down in Minneapolis doing the laps. He was good buddies. He said he was the original Harvey Milk's boyfriend. Hey, I mean, if he didn't tell you his testimony, look, you'd think he was still hanging out at the gay 90s. I'm just saying, I ain't no housewife. Look, and I ain't making fun of nobody. He's good friends with old Michelle Bachmann. Her husband can still, he's the last one that'll do an exorcism and pray to gay out of you, but he's getting way up there. And he'll still do one every now and then he got to pray about it for a while, and then if God tell him, he'll do one. But apparently he's one last in the country that can pray to gay out of you. Remember that guy? So we talking Lamb of God. Remember Dan? Refiner's fire. Glorious. I mean, the internet is such an interesting place, but like I said, you say, well, what do you do? Why are you over there? And I'm saying, well, Troy's, but he says he's a reformed, and you can hear his daughter and his once in a while, but I don't know, not for like 3 years. His daughter used to come on, and he says I don't know. He says he goes to church down somewhere that way towards Louisiana or something. But he angry. He always putting a red dot on you, and he won't. He's reformed homosexual, but he won't. He don't allow much saying homosexuality is a sin, and that's what I'm saying. I don't understand that anymore. And we're getting to the point where if you can't say that, what are we gonna do? But I would take a look at those guys. You remember Cal? Who's Cal? Who's this guy threatening me with a 38? Well, there you go. Do I look like a guy you want to shoot in the face? I mean, you don't want to mess up all this hair, don't it? I mean, it look all right. Yet, I mean, for 45, you don't really want to do that, do you, Jeremy? Because you know darn well, if you was on Facebook, you wouldn't be doing that. Secret Doctrine, who's that guy? He seemed pretty close with Katie. And Katie tries to pretend she's blind. I don't believe that. Good, not a bad cover, I guess. I don't know. Who knows? I know they all threatened me. You say, well, what if you're a Christian, camper? What are you doing over there? Why don't you just stay in Seventh Becker's room and be a pervert? Because I ain't one. Dude like Nate. Man. What do you got in your pockets, dude? How do you get one of them half the kingdoms on the horn forever? Yeah, and you're like, well, because it became the only place you could chat. Pretty much where there's anybody. And if you didn't notice, I kind of like here to talk about this Bible thing. And so It was the only place I could not get a red dot. But that was for a while till they realized they couldn't out-talk me. And so then, yeah, they started putting the dot on me too. Right? You remember that? Carl? Smoking the weed all the time. I just kind of got sick of Secret Doctrine and Jeremy threatening me. But as far as threats, it was just who is that other one? Other than Secret, those are the only. Which it's interesting because if you take a look at Campaign Carr, right? He don't hardly ever swear, kind of like me. But he's a big advocate. He like Gary Johnson or something. He's a big advocate of pot. I guess he grows pot and smokes pot and drinks beer, and seemed like he might have sent a rocket or two to the moon about 50 years ago, but he'd been retired for a while, and he knows he's got a neighbor that's got a couple goats. I don't think they sleep with him, but and then what else? Yeah, you like high coffee. So all we trying to do, we try to stay alive. And they wouldn't let us talk no more on the pound. It's called Pound Talk. And it seemed like it was getting like, hey, you're making a little too much sense here, boy. You're either getting a red dot or we don't want to listen. One of the two. Hey! But yeah, it's mostly what? Yeah, it's mostly gonna be the what? Yeah! We going to the downs, boy! Hey! So you say, what? About coffee? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll be honest, like I said, remember, not a fighter, not a real big guy. Never would be looking forward to going into like a room where there's no escape, really, with guys doing this here. Yeah, call me crazy, but I don't want to do that. Oh, hey, can I, look, remember choices? Hey, this all, look, my bad. I won't do that anymore. I just wanted to kind of give you a little cultural context that I understand when old Big Don went up there and did that in front of the world, and he wonders why he didn't get reelected. Yeah, that guy. Ha ha. But yeah, that was kind of the turning point, when I kept hearing what's his name go like this here. Yeah. And I don't know if he was figuring out I'd been naked by now or drunk or something, but I think he overplayed his hand a little bit. And then all this other weird stuff happening. Is he still doing this here? What's his name? Cal? I don't know. You got Secret Doctrine, Cal, Jeremy. That's because Katie was saying that. Otherwise, they was secret. So I ain't sure what their names is. Oh, you know when I really kind of started noticing that I was getting nervous? When this big, fat polar bear down there at Maplewood Mall, remember that? And I'm pretty sure he had the bacon juice squirting out his eyeballs and he kind of smelled funny. Remember that? And he showed up in a beat up old Ford. I don't know. I don't know if he had a poster that said wanted dead or alive or what, but when he pulled up next to me and I just get this feeling like, hey, I ain't seen you before and I've been coming here for about 50 years. You look like you're a little bit out of your element, sir, and now you're parked right next to me. And it's about 10 a.m., remember that? Ain't a whole lot of people around here. And I'm thinking, what's that big old rope hanging off the back of your truck? And I'm starting to size you up, remember that? And I'm thinking, maybe I'm in the wrong parking spot. Yeah, 'cause you're kind of big and fat. Remember that? Yeah. So you say, hey, don't be mean now, camper. I'm like, what? Because I'm hearing this. Remember that? And then all the weird, my hubcaps, my tires. Remember that? Yeah. Keep talking. And you're like, hey. And you're like, well, don't jump to conclusions here, old Nicky boy. Well, Kate, what was going? You're like, you're right. So remember, the guy with the flatbed, Starbucks. Well, after Walmart, I had a pretty good idea, right? And then I get over to the park, and I know I'm a little slow, but I'm thinking, hey, this is a little bit more than coincidence. Yep. And you're like, huh? What? And you're like, well, maybe I'll just move. And he just a big old hairy white polar bear guy that probably weighs about at least 400 pounds. Yeah. And he don't, I've been going here in this lab. He don't look like he like to read books. I'm just saying. Remember my grandma? She was a librarian, so I've been around a few of them. Remember that? Yeah. Ha ha. And you're like, what? And I'm thinking, but don't be a jerk because maybe he just times are tough and he just using that rope to I don't know, maybe his truck maybe that's topper on his truck there came loose and he's thinking about tying that down or I don't know. Maybe he wanna hmm. Oh, I know what it is. He probably got some grand or some kid or he probably got some tires. He gonna go home and make a tire swing or something with that there. Remember that? And I'm like, that just don't look right. And you look a big old fat guy with bacon juice squirting out your ears, and now you're parked next to me. Hmm. Okay. I'm thinking, but don't get too worried here. I mean, it's not like a few days later he's gonna pull up like that guy in town with the flatbed and the UFC shirt and stare you down like, hey, I dare you, boy. Say something to me. No, not like, yeah. Oh, you mean you went? Oh, you mean you were parked in Walmart on the east side of the parking lot? It would be the east or the south, over by that ortho place where they fixed up your shoulder. Yeah, that side over there. And that same guy come pulling up, park right next to you with that big old rope that you could tie a polar bear up with. So you're starting to wonder now, hey, once that was all right, you ain't never seen the guy. He don't look like he wanna read books together. And you're thinking, you parked next to me again. like, right? And, you're kind of driving an old beat up Ford, and, it's not real new. So, I mean, but you got a topper and a big old rope that you just have to go like this here. And, I mean, what are you using that rope for? Just curious. You want to tell me? And you're thinking, all right, once, fool me twice. You know the rest, remember that? Huh, you remember that, don't you, Chief? And you're thinking, oh, snap. Like, what's up? We're going to the downs. And you're like, Daddy, hey, son. Hey, sis, be good, I'm working on it. And you're like, hey, what, weren't we going to go golfing, Daddy? You're just going to come sit in the kitchen here, right, with me? Weren't you? Come visit me? Huh? Didn't we talk about that? And you're like, wait a minute, it was only twice? Mm-mm. Oh, wow. So either this guy, you got like a secret admirer who likes to drive around with big, thick rope you could, I don't know, string him high with. Yeah, you got like this secret, because he ain't talking to you, so I'm thinking he don't want to go to get some lunch or read any books. And he didn't ask me to show him how to use the computer or nothing. I'm wondering, hey, you're kind of quiet there with that rope, sir. Is there any reason why you're sitting next to me again? What? I'm thinking, come on, man. Didn't you know I was in the security when I was about 2? And you're like, come on. So then we're like, hey, what's up? And you're like, okay, now look, I've done my fair share of talking to these like police and doctors, and I'm thinking, you don't get too alarmed, right? Not yet. I mean, we watching, and I'm thinking, now if this start to happen again, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna get a little, I'm gonna start wondering what you're doing. Oh yeah, no, it happened again. And I'm thinking, but like, you don't look like you're here to be my security guard. So I'd appreciate if you stop parking next to me with that big old rope and that bacon juice squirting out your eyeballs. Can we have a gentleman's agreement here? Yeah, hey, look, do not pull up next to me anymore. And no, he keep doing it. Oh, and then my hubcaps. Oh, remember that? Yeah. Oh, so you mean you come out like, Oh, so that's why you decided it was probably a good idea to go over to Roseville instead. Yeah. Well, no, but first it was after that. See, you remember we're creatures of habit, right? And so I kind of parked. See, I like remember the safety in numbers, and then you get this guy kind of following you around with a big rope pucking. Not a whole lot of it, 10-8. You're like, I think I'll go park over here by the people that work here. 'Cause day in and out, and they at least once in a while. I mean, they keep an eye kind of a little bit. Be pretty tough to like take my hubcaps off and like just put them right on the ear, just enough so like, hey, if I'm like a big polar bear with a rope, right? Mm-hmm. I don't look like I should be around. I look like I'm from this. Oh yeah, from this area, but I don't look like I should be at the library with this. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm just gonna release your hubcap just enough. So it looked like it's on there, but remember I'm in the security, FBI and all that. And you're like, hey, he ain't gonna see that. But once he pull out, I'm gonna get that rope there and I'm gonna follow him. Remember that? But I got this rope, right? So you probably, if you don't see those hubcaps there, I'm saying, remember, I'm not a mathematician or nothing, but by the time you get, they're probably going to stay on until you get out on that main road and get up to a certain speed. And I did just the back tube, because I don't want to get your attention, right? I'm thinking you ain't gonna see that. It's not like he in the FBI or anything, right? But then maybe you're gonna see a hubcap go flying or something, right? So why both my hubcaps were just on just enough? Well, no, I seen the one, right? Because I'm in security. And the front one's fine, the back one just a little bit. I'm thinking, I wonder if there's another one like that. Sure enough, the one on the other side, same thing. Now, remember, I took a statistics class. I didn't really understand the probability, but the odds that just the back two were just perfectly in the same spot, like almost ready to fall off. Like if you got going at a certain speed and they would come off, maybe you hit a little bump like that. That guy, yeah. But they were on just enough where like this guy drives so slow. Like he driving Miss Daisy wherever he go. Remember that? Yeah, I'm that guy driving the speed limit. Since when, folks, did it become against the law to drive 5 under the limit? See, I always thought that was a good idea. I'm thinking 5 under. There's people aren't gonna go flying by me giving me the bird left and right, going, "Hey, Grandma, you'd make a good housewife." No, but they'd come through, right? And they'd be like, "Hey," and you'd be like, "What?" And you'd be like, "What? I'm 500. I'm the police. I got all my lights working. They're gonna have to find a good reason to talk to me. I'm 500, right? Since when was that a bad idea?" Oh yeah. And so I drive. So they know that they're watching me, right? And so here we go. Oh yeah. They're gonna stay on until you get out on the 61 there, boy, and then you hit that, and you're little Nicky boy, and you notice everything. But you didn't notice I did that, and I got that big old rope there, and I like bacon juice. And I don't know what you're doing here, but you keep parking next to me. And all of a sudden you're here too again, but you ain't right next to me. But because I'm parked now, I'm in the right next to the manager and all them. And you see them coming in and out, so you don't want to get seen. I get you. And you're like, "Hey, Nicky Bar." Yep. And we still got this going here. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And we're like, "Hey." So we're starting to wonder what you're doing there, man. Mm-hmm. And you're pretty big. Yeah, you ain't missed a meal in a while, sir. Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna say, like, if you on a real good day, you ain't missed a meal in a while. And so you're saying, oh, but you're gonna hear that because you drive slow enough. You're gonna see your hubcap go flying, and you're probably gonna pull over and go back and get it. And then you got this guy following you around with this big old rope. Yeah, and he don't look like and he's never been to that library, and you've been going there for about 10 years. Yep. And so you're a little bit worried. Yep. Oh, what else happened, camper? Oh, so you say, oh well, I think I'll stop up at White Bear Library on the way home like I did those other 5,000 times. Yeah. Oh, okay. Keep talking. I don't know. I mean, call me paranoid. I do got 10 jars of peanut extra, because I like the peanut buttons. Usually when I go up there, they ain't got it no more. So when they got it, I get it. I like, hey. I like peanut butter. Remember that old virus thing? Remember when you used to go up to the only place in town and all the shelves was empty? Remember that? And now we got all kind of new strains, and we got old Byron on the horn here. Old Sleepy Joe said we got enough vaccine for everybody, but don't come at me with that or any rope. You know what I'm thinking? Can't I just study accounting in the fit? Yeah, you already know the fishing up there about that way 4 hours. Oh, real good. And you're like, dang, this guy. So why were you doing in this room? Well, Kyle seemed like a pretty nice guy, especially at first. You know, don't put the red dawn on you. He don't call you stupid quite as often as the seventh beggar and DKS and Helen and them. So he's not quite as abusive mentally, spiritually, and emotionally on me. I'm thinking a little less toll on my self-esteem. Yeah, thinking, but it's a little bit better. I get to talk. Oh, but here comes Secret Doctrine and Cal, Katie and Dolly and Jeff Larson and these psychos. I mean, you want to talk about certifiable folks? Go listen to them. Paltalk.com. Yeah. Like, remember how I said I think what they had was, and yeah, and Carl says he worked for MIT. He just don't seem that smart to me. He kind of remind me of Campaign Carl, though. Bush's guy. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you just don't. You seem pretty smart. You're way smarter than me, and you like to play with clocks. I don't know. You want to talk about paranoid? You want to talk about a guy that's worried about not knowing what time it is? Oh, Carl. He got about 50,000 clocks in his house. Yeah, that guy. Snow, shake. And he just don't seem like he's sending a whole lot of rockets to the moon to me. Yeah, he pretty smart. He looked like that old campaign car when I come up there with the little billboard and show a couple charts and all that. And he can do a little couple math problems real quick, make him look self-right. Yeah, that guy. And you're like, Yeah, he don't like. I don't. I have a hard time, but whatever. It's neither here nor there. But he seemed like an odd, and he was pretty nice. We was on an understanding where I got to talk about the Bible, and he would tell me his spiel, his shtick, and his big thing was, "Hey, camper, hey, if you remember anything after you leave here," I'm like, "Yeah." He like, "Remember, homosexuals are people now," and I said, "Well, I already knew that, Mister Kai. I never said they wasn't people." I had to tell him that about 50,000 times. Like, what have I said that made you think I don't think they're people? I'm just trying to tell you, the Bible says it's sin like everything else still. We all people. Hey, he like guys, I like naked ladies. So he seemed to like to tell me that. But he was pretty nice at first. Now I don't know if they got a little funny something in the water or what, but remember he would go to town once in a while. He would seem pretty happy most of the time. But then all of a sudden, yeah, he got all pissed off. He was angry. And that was about the time of this here. You know, like I said, I'm not a weed. But if a guy had started doing that to me, oh yeah, back in the day, hmm, yeah. So I'm thinking I probably should start thinking about getting out of here. Yeah. Oh, you stopped that white bear and what happened? Oh, I don't know. I was parked right out front. Remember that? Yeah. Oh, you notice everything, do you? Mm-hmm. They can't get nothing by it? No. And you're not in the FBI? No, but you don't need to be in the FBI according to conservative Christian to do a reverse lookup with an image. So you could like take an image of me and you say how nice my smile, got a white in my teeth look, and you could probably find where I'm at without me telling you. Right? Just and you're like, hey. And so you said, what is that? Who cares? You said, well, say I used to be a painter. Remember that? In the real fancy places, highfalutin. Oh, yeah, yeah. Kevin McHale's house, right next door. Edina, multi-gazillionaire. Yeah, them ones. You know them bears that like them little white balls? Minnetonka, Tonka Bay, Norfolk. Oh, yeah. Really? Mm-hmm. They let you in your house? Did you ever steal anything or like go panty raiding or nope? Do they got you on any surveillance? Because them rich people, they into like them secret microphones too, and they're like, hey, this guy's like to smoke a little one hitter here, get the Joyce Myers going once in a while there, but listening to his KTIF. Every once in a while, he having a beer at lunch, but other than that, man, that guy is pretty busy. Yeah, we ain't worried about him. He alright, he don't steal from us. And all we got to do is pay him $15 an hour. Yep. And they're like, oh, you can come around anytime you want. And you're like, thank you. Yeah, them guys. So we had this thing. Now, trust me, you know what a little utility knife is, because Kevin Carlson gave me about 50 of them for free. Man, he's a nice guy. Once his son died, though, you could tell something wasn't right. It was sad. I don't know whatever happened to them people. That's where I met Gregory Troy. But I'm pretty sure I met Gregory Troy. Remember, see how you always remember nobody's doing nothing for nothing? Remember Gregory Troy? He was under the serious he was into some kind of adoption agency type thing. And I'm pretty sure I know him from Moore Lake. Yes, we played basketball at Moore Lake. Way, way before I ever. So, you know what happened was is I got my first well, that's another story. Be right back. Hey, how long you gonna be there? How long you gonna be? Will you check the grill? I don't know if I did check the garage. Yeah. Close the door first. Yeah. Should, why wouldn't it be? The lights on. Don't leave it in. Close the window outside. Got your phone? Be safe. Remember Gregory Troy? Vincent Waters? He's dead or deep. He's hardcover deep in the CIA somewhere. I'm guessing that one. I don't know. Where did that guy go? But he was pretty cool. Yeah, we went to a couple. We went to that was one of the very first AA meetings I went to. Yeah, down at the Basilica in Minneapolis. Remember with all them pinkies and stuff, and you got to be real cool because they got a bunch of them and they got the boom boom too. Yeah, you got to be nice down there. You don't want to be talking to Leslie about that. What kind of police she saying? Yeah, you don't want to be doing that down there no more. I don't care what you got that Bible there. You just mind your business. Kind of like in a bad neighborhood after dark. Yeah, no sense of go barking up a tree. You don't have to. Remember that guy? Gregory Troy. How did I meet that guy? Yeah. Oh, we had to talk about that'll be like the very last story. But so from Gregory Troy, CPA, secret adoption agent, to he lived up in Ham Lake, about 5 blocks from the Eisenschanks, and go to the same church. I guess used to Catholic church. Remember that? Yeah. So you say hi. So I met the best painters through Gregory Troy, who I played basketball with at Moore Lake for 50 years. No, 5 years, off and on. Right? And you say, oh. And you say hi. So I don't know because that guy sold. That was one of my first cars. That was like the first couple cars. Well, they were pretty old, and back then the cars were like it was. You remember when they used to say banana boat? Yeah, y'all don't know about that. Back then, it's kind of like how they say stopping a train. Yeah, because once you got going one way, I mean, it was like a act of Congress to get. I mean, you really had to be, and I hadn't had a lot of practice other than at the gasoline alley up in Cali. Remember that? Yeah, I'm like 4 and 5 years old, and I got these golf carts, and my dad runs the place, and I get to drive those things wherever I want. Yeah, that guy. Oh, we're having some fun. Oh, and then you get to go around and dig up golf balls and everywhere. Oh, snap, boy. I mean, hey, you remember them little white things? Oh, man. You want to talk about like Christmas? Hey! And I'm like, yeah, that guy. And you're like, whoa, that's cool. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And you're like, whoa, who's this Vincent Waters? He was a smooth cat. He was one of the first guys, and I guess he's from New York. But it was I was kind of like, I could only find a little something like this here, just a couple paragraphs. So Greg Troy sells me a car, right? Or he doesn't sell me a car. He gives me an old grocery getter, a Volvo. And it's probably worth, since if it was old, but it was in pretty decent shape and it ran well. Back then, those cars lasted 30 years. Yeah. And he turned me on because he did the taxes for the best painters. Remember that? Kevin, Marcus, Gerald. Remember that? Yeah. You mean you didn't do anything too weird for all that time you worked for? They're called. Why are they called the best painters? Are we talking like the best in the world or why? I mean, because in the phone book, I mean, you could have picked one with an A, so that'd be the first one in the phone book, like Dudley did. Abel Garage, right? That's why Dudley, back in the day when you used to have to look in a phone book, that's how old Dudley, he'd get so excited the crappies were biting, he'd crap his pants. Remember that? Yeah, so he's like, I think I'll put Abel, ABL, they'll call that Abel Garage, right? Yeah. Because that's the first one when you used to call 411. Hey, you know what? Can I, the garage company? Yeah, well, this one here's the first one on the list. Yeah, yeah, he might have crapped his pants, but remember, hey, if you ain't crapped your pants at least once in life, you don't know what too much fun is. But he's like, hey, I figured that one out. I was the first guy. Hey, and he's like, yeah, because they all calling me 1st. Mm-hmm. Remember that 411? Hey, and he's like, so Gregory Troy turns me on to the best painters. Remember them? Why are they called best? Because they were pretty good. Yeah, who did we work for? Who was the big one? They had that one big foreman. He was in. Oh, he didn't drink alcohol. What was his name? Back in the day, out there where old Strand is, out that away. What's that place called? Hmm. Well, they was one of the first premier. Like, hey, you want a 20,000 square foot house, and you want some really nice guys to do it, and you want to trust them, and like they're not gonna like sit in the corner and put paper clips in the outlet and eat their boogers. Yeah, you might want to go with us, and we got a few of them painters called the best. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, them guys. I don't know what happened to him, but Kevin was. I came back and forth a little bit, and I really like painting, but there is some truth, like I said. There's a reason why they say that is more fun than watching paint dry. And hey, even old Canoodler, when I used to see what's him out there at old Maggie's Cafe and behind Abbott, what was that paint store? Yeah, Gerald was on. I mean, all you do is go in there, and the account was back. See, back then they was on a first name basis. Gerald is the account, right? He up and remember I took a shower in his house, and old Marcus tried to show me what was in his pockets one there couple few times. Remember that? And so they're up in Center City, not too far from Hazleton, right there. Now it's called Betty Ford, and they merged or something. They call that a partnership or something. I don't know. Don't ask me to do your taxes yet. And so you're saying, okay, well, you out there, right? Yeah. I am hungry. And so you say, so what happened? Why does it matter? I mean, there's so much. Well, the big deal is apparently Vincent Waters died. And so when I got that first car, that wasn't my first car. My very first car was from, remember the peanut brittle? The peanut brittle lady? Remember? Remember the original polar bear? She married like the very, very first polar bear? Yeah, that gal. What was her name? She was into the peanut brittle, giving it to everybody. Claire. Oh, St. Clair. Oh, she loved me. She lived to be about 100 and something. I don't know. You have to ask my mom. I can't remember much other than that, or Lori, I guess. Oh, but she had this old Granada. And now this was a cool looking car. The Volvo was a grocery getter, and I was just like, all right. I think Troy was going to sell it. I think he overpriced it, but he's an accountant. He's all into that depreciation and all this, and he did something other than straight line or something on me because yeah, he I think he wanted like 500 back then or something. And I was supposed to pay him like $50 or something a paycheck or something. And we was going to hang out and go to church a little bit, and he had like chickens and all kinds. He had about 50 kids running around there on his little farm, and in order to get there, it was like surrounded by a swamp of water. There was one little road. I mean, yeah, now I know you weren't getting to them kids, I'll tell you that. uh Not unless you come down that one little driveway, boy, and I bet you they was watching that, eh? Because they had all these water, like you had to walk on this little. I mean, it was. Remember that security stuff I was talking about? Yeah, that stuff. And you're like, huh. So I think the only reason he got I not so I did a crash that car. I never did that again. I had this thing with a parking lot. You know them things they used to have in the parking lots, the big cement things, but you couldn't hardly see them because they would just be over the hood. Yeah, I like to hit them a couple times with my first couple cars. Never did do that later, but it's probably because they started getting rid of them, and then I didn't hit them anymore. I never crashed a car after that ever. So I was a little, yeah. But that Granada, I originally when I went to Sobriety High, man, it was white and it was a little rusty, but it was a nice model. I can't remember. And Grandpa Gordy and them, they used to have one kind of similar, but yeah, I didn't like how rusty it was, but it was pretty. The inside was perfect, and they didn't smoke, and so it was pretty. It was nice on the inside, real nice for an older car, and it was my first car. Well, yeah, yeah, it was. Yep, first or second, right? And I like that car, and you looked all yeah, okay. You're driving a little rusted, but you're only 16 years old, and you driving, so you don't. And you're like, hey, it, you like the style, right? It's an old, one of them granadas, and you're like, so I had a few people I give rides. They wanted to go. They didn't mind riding. They're like, hey Nick, come pick us up. We're going to Sobriety High. We got a old Ralphie boy. He in like the mafia or something, like down there in Italy or something. And you had to go through him to get into Sobriety High with all these other like gazillionaires, and we're only gonna let a few of you poor white guys in here? Yeah, that guy. Oh, but that's right. Your daddy is Thomas Hokanen, ain't that right? And he ain't had a drink in what, 50 years? He said, yep, that's right. Oh, that's your daddy. Yeah, River Place, remember that? River Place Counseling Center. Well, first he started out at Golden Valley Health Center. He was like, you want to talk about original? Like, y'all, anybody remember the original New Hope Alano? The little yellow building? Where back in the day, that was that only place. If you was going to, I don't care where you, if you were coming from South Dakota, you wanted to go to an AA meeting. Hey, we said we're going to the down. We're going to New Hope, Minnesota, to the little yellow house. You say, well, did you do anything weird there? I might have met a naked lady or something once or twice. That's about it. And you say, hey, and you're like, remember that? You're like, what? Huh? And you're like, yeah. Oh, so if we go down there and talk to them and they say, oh, are we going to find anybody? Yeah, one guy, because remember them polar bear? For some reason, some of these daddies, I'm thinking they jealous of my hair because I got a gentleman's agreement usually, almost always. Remember that? I've had one, let's see, one, two now I can think of. Yeah, I had two guys now in my whole life that for some reason they didn't like me talking to their daughter, I guess. I guess we'll have to talk more to them about it, but we'll have to see what they say. You say, you sure? Yeah, there was that one guy, Martin. You know, what was her name? Oh, yeah, Georgia. Georgia, man. Oh, okay. Now, this is where I realized where women, okay. Yeah, we was over 18, both of them. Hey, I don't know exactly, but she was over 18. I'm just saying. But here's what we were doing, okay. Uh, this was where I realized, look, it ain't all about looks. You fine, but your body there, that thing, whatever you're doing with that, you're like, what's in your pockets, gay? You're like, huh? Hey, yeah, right? You're like, well, you remember them snack bar girls? You might want to find one that got one kind of maybe look like that there, buddy. Yeah, that one. But for some, and I really was nice to her. And I had like really intentions of like being a really nice guy. And it's funny because her dad knew my dad, and I don't know if he was having struggling with his relapsing and his drinking, but he didn't like me. And before that, we had seemed to be on pretty decent terms. I thought, we played a little cribbage once. And remember, I'm going here since I'm about this tall. Yeah, remember that? So, I mean, I'm beating these guys in buck euchre and cribbage and gin rummy when I'm like about 6. Okay, I'm like an expert in all three of them. Never did get real good. I never really liked poker. Okay, but Tommy, every time for 50 years, they'd get together on Christmas or something in there, and that was back when, oh man, you could still remember. Y'all kids don't smoke much, do you? You got that flavored stuff that, what do they call it, vaping or something? Yeah, back when I was a kid, you want to talk about what did they say, back smoke filled room? You would go in that place and you could, I mean, I don't know how they were reading their cards. There was so much smoke you could cut it with a butter knife. And I'd go in there and I'm like, there's 9 of them playing, right? Yeah, back when old Jonesy boy was still married to Shelley, right down the block, they had that brand nice house right next to the Tushnot. Yeah, yeah. Remember that? Yeah, we'd go down there and they'd be playing poker. Remember that? Yeah, yeah. So I guess Shelley, what? She went up, moved up with her mom for a while and went back to like to be a treatment, a drug and alcohol counselor. Man, gosh, I liked her. Man, I was sad when they built a house out in Maple Lake for a while. Wayne Jones, remember that? That was back when things still seemed normal. I would go up there and play hockey with Colton on their lake. And oh, Cassie, she was just a little princess girl. I knew her when she was real little. She was always wearing a white little dress. Yeah, now she go with that guy. I seen her about 4 years ago over there at Sandy's house in Maple Grove. We used to go over there for Christmas when they stopped going to the Eisenshanks. So, oh, garbage guys. Apparently, her boyfriend, which they make pretty good money, right? He worked for one of them garbage companies up that way in, I don't know, Rogers or something up there. Hey, you're paying your bills. The Bible says if you don't work, you don't eat Domino's pizza. You know what I mean? Whether you're a housewife or house husband or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Yeah. Remember Clyde? Yeah, Clyde. Clyde was the man, that guy. Remember Clyde? He was wait. You remember Clyde like this hell or what's his name? Man, I feel like that guy died way too early, but you could tell he was always smoking. He had been sober for like 20 years for a while. Kyle, remember Kyle? He introduced me to this here. What's up? Where you go? Hey, G. Hey, G, where you at? He introduced me to that. And then, so, remember Kyle? Yeah. That was when I realized, they got some white guys that hang out with black guys and that kind of thing. So, anyways, so Vincent Waters was my very first lawyer when I got my very first DWI. Gregory Troy said, "Hey, call this guy." You remember that? Like I used to know a couple of guys. And he's like, "That's your guy," and I'm like, "Thanks." So he's like, call that guy, and that guy, he was the first time I realized, hey, they got some cool guys in AA. Hey, maybe I can make a little go here. But that was kind of similar to Gregory Troy. So when I hit first I had that Granada. And I got the great idea and I said, hey, you know what? I think I will, I think I'll be a bartender or something. No, where did that one go? Was that the bartender? I think, was that the Minnesota School of Bartending? I'm like, I don't got any honk honks, but if I seen a few of them guys out there, mostly they gotta have them honk honks back then. And you're like, You're like, maybe. You're like, I doubt, I hit remember them stupid things in the parking lot? Yeah, I got one there. I can't remember exactly what car it was. It was the Granada. What happened to the Granada? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I hit one of them. Strange too, like, man, my car had like a magnet for those things. But hey, I'm not making an excuse, I'm just giving you a reason. Like, those things were hard to see and they were just high enough where, I mean, you had to be like this. Look, I mean, like you had to have like a booster seat or something to see them things. And this, I mean, I ain't looking for them. I mean, what are they doing in the middle of the parking lot? So I had to hit a couple of them before I did not hit anything the rest of my life. So other than that, I was a like stellar driver. I mean, professional. Like, remember that transporter guy? Yeah. You never put a scratch on anybody? Nope. All them times you drove and drank and smoked a little bit of that? Nope. Never. You sure? Well, as much as I can remember, they got them things called blackouts. So I suppose it. I don't remember. I don't remember it. Okay? I don't remember that. So, but I had gotten my first DWI somewhere in there. And of course, I called up Gregory Troy because he like only guy no secret adoption agent guy playing band. Hey, can you help me out here? Hey, hold on. Just sit. I gotta make a call or two. And all of a sudden, normally back then, I don't know if you remember Hastings. Is it still there? Hastings Detox somewhere? Old, like the first in the world. Remember, all the recovery started here in Minnesota, folks. Remember that? So back then, it was like, unless you had a lawyer to come get you were staying for 72 hours. You were on a 72-hour hold. Oh, yeah, you ain't going. You better get comfy. But the nice thing was back then, though, they had the smoke room. Oh, man. Can you imagine today getting one of them and going in there? And you can't go outside because it's locked. I don't know what they do with them. And maybe they made a like the fence or something, and they let them out into a fenced area, because otherwise, I don't know. I'm guessing they don't smoke. That's not fun. And you're like there for like what, 5 minutes, and here come Mr. Cool, smoking a cigar, driving like a BMW or something. He's like, "Hey, what's up? Let's go." And I'm like, What ain't Greg Troy? Mr. Troy just called me. Said, "You want out of here? Gotta go with me." I'm like, "Okay, let's roll." Thank you. He's like, "Oh, by the way, this is gonna cost you. You want me to get you out of this? This is gonna cost you about back then. I think it was about 1,200. He wanted for the first one. It was a pretty good deal 20 years ago, right? Hey, I'm getting all y'all is standing there, and I'm getting out of here, and he's pretty cool. And he's like, "Hey," smoking a cigar, and I'm like, "This is all right." He's like, "I'm in AA, and so I'm sober. And if you want, look, I'll be your lawyer. And then even after that, call me. I'll take you to a meeting." I'm like, "Oh, okay, thanks." And we went to the Basilica a couple times, and remember Alexis Hughes and all them. Yeah. Remember that? The Cafe Espresso, is that still there in Minneapolis? Ah, remember that? Oh, you hung around with all them people Leslie's talking. Yeah, way back then. I didn't even think about it till we get to here. Yeah. You mean they didn't get all nervous and call you a homophobe and all? No. You were cool with all of them people down that way? Yeah. So, like, I started hearing this. And I'm thinking, huh. And so the saga continues. And you're like, "What?" You're like, "Yeah." You see, hey, look at that, folks. Doing pretty good. See, there's a benefit to running your mouth. It's tough to eat at the same time. So right there, we got a whole wheat cracker with some chunklat tuna. What is it? With an olive. Okay. With some mayonnaise. Oh. Mm. Mm. Yeah. That's good. In your life, they're doing what to you? I swear to God. And you did all this, and they want to hurt you like we need to make some phone calls here. Hold on. Sit tight. And I'm like, "Thank you." And you're like, "What?" So you're down there and all this here. So I don't know. I just want to say, but then I went to look them up. Oh, and so I lost contact. I saw him out one time, but I still don't. For some reason, I never did pay him. I crashed that other car one time into a park. Them things in the parking lot. Man, twice. And then we was never again. And that was when I was 16. And I'm a few years older now, if you can't tell. I know it's hard to tell since I clean up so nice. But you're like, okay, keep talking. And I'm like, so we get what happens. So I never did pay. What's his name? Well, once I crashed the car, I was like, "Hey, come on. Can we salvage this thing here and call this a day?" You know what I mean? And I'm like, "Come on, man. You got all that money. Hey, can I come over and like work in the barn or something for a while, Greg?" So I kind of lost contact with him. There just seemed to be that thing when you owe some. What's the best way to get rid of somebody? Borrow him some money. And you're like, well, what kind of tuna is that, man? And you're like, gangster. You're like, Starkiss. Hey, that's OU right there, boy. That's OU on you. Hey, it can't. That's kosher. Did y'all know? All your tuna and all that, yeah, and it come in a bag. I mean, that they're gonna get you OU all the way. You're cool there. So I went to look up Vincent. Well, I saw him one time when I was over in Maplewood. Not that was this was a long time ago. And I always felt bad about him and Greg because Greg was a professional, and so I did feel bad about not repaying those guys. But we were on a personal level, and I always intended to. I was just a little busy drinking beer and that kind of thing for a while, and then I just lost contact. And I was always meaning to pay him. And I actually talked to Greg one time when a few years ago. I tried to call him, and I don't know. I guess there's just this thing when you owe somebody money and then you don't talk to them for 15 years. They're not real interested in talking to you, kind of like them girls, Carrie Plath and Alexis Hughes. Remember them After Kingdom kind of special guys? Yeah, them. And you're like, hey, what's up? You're like, hey, come on, old guy, hurry this up. No, man. This is my autobiography, yo. It's for my grandkids. Don't rush me. I ain't in a hurry. We ain't got nothing but time. We get there. And you're like, So you're over in Maplewood. Back then, right on White Bear Avenue, they used to have the city, one of the district court there, up there, and it's not there anymore. And Vincent, which I was very surprised, he because he was a private defense attorney, and he back then. I mean, look, you see me, right? Remember my friends, CEO of Cool. Remember that? And so you're like, when you say a cool guy, you know one, right? I do, right? There's not a whole lot left, and you're like, so this guy was pretty cool. I mean, for a guy that being a lawyer and sober and driving a BMW, smoking a nice cigar, and getting me the heck out of that place. And now he's like, hey, pay me when you can. Catch me if you can. Hey, you want to go down to the coolest AA meeting in the world? And by the way, you're going to probably see Alexis there. Yeah! Ha, ha! I'm like, oh, well, let's go. Yeah. And so he's dead, according to a news snippet. All I could find, which is suspicious. And I spent about an hour or more. And there's only one paper out of New York, something. I don't know. All it said is he loved sailing. He was from New York, one of them boroughs. And he loved his kids. And he was survived by somebody. And he liked to sail. Did I say that? I like to sail in the ocean. So I had seen him, but remember I wanted to go in his office and be like, "Hey, boss, what you doing? Remember me? Hey, nice to see you, sir. I was in there for something. Remember the jaw change? Yeah." And so I'm like, so I don't say hi to him. I wanted to. It's just this funny thing when you owe people money, for some reason you avoid them. And I'm thinking, And so then come later, see, now count my crazy when I got a guy making me do my own research and I'm paying her good money, but you're mostly friends with my mom and she's two-fisted with the coffee and the cigarettes and she always wants to get somebody on some medication and I got this guy. Yeah, I was starting to look for a new lawyer. Mm-hmm. So as I started looking for this guy and finally I call around and his email and all this is posted up like. And I call finally. There's this one woman lawyer, and it's like she's got this review, right? And she's like, "Oh, you should call Vin." Like it was old. It had to be many 10 years ago. He's been gone. Oh wow, 7, 8 years or something. I can't believe it. But he was a nice, cool guy. The kind of guy that could make friends and pass the bar. Like, come get me out of that place. I'm like, and I'm like, all right. I was never too cool for school. I'm pretty much too cool for AA because remember, I can beat everybody in the state in buck euchre, cribbage, and gin rummy at the age of 6. And I'm thinking, I've been hanging out in this place for remember, you kid, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't need to go back there anymore. I'll take care of it myself. But then when I met Vincent, I'm like, all right, I mean, if that gal go there, I'll check it out again, right? And so we do that. But I didn't see him. Or, I mean, I don't believe. So I called that woman, and you could tell something was wrong. But usually, like, it wouldn't be inappropriate, would it? If you're on a personal basis where you're a reference to a guy, a lawyer, and it says, "Hey, I recommend this guy," and you're like, your name's on there, and then somebody call you and you say, "Hey, I know this guy and all this here," and she kind of funny, but she don't say he's deceased. Hmm. Okay. Keep talking, and you're like, "What?" But something's off. But you don't. I'm like, "Do you know where I can find?" No, I don't know where you can find him. And I'm like, "You sure?" And she's like, "No." But she don't give me any hint at all that maybe he's dead. And so then I do the search, and then I get that one little thing. Hey, I'll report. You decide. And I'm thinking, that stinks. What happened? They don't tell us. He didn't look like a guy that was like banging heroin up his veins, so I don't know. I'm not sure. Anyways, a couple cool guys I met when I was younger that were professional guys that helped me out, and uh, wish I should have stayed friends with them, right? Just about all my people. right? Oh well, what are they gonna do? Go to the I don't know. We got the Lewis Mall, the fishing real good up that way. Yeah, and you're like home. Yeah. So whatever. Just a couple guys that you could look up some tape and be like, oh, we got more normal. Oh, we knew a normal guy. And you didn't go in there and like try to kidnap one of Greg Troy's kids or something? No. Hmm. Yes, all? Yeah. And he sold you a car and you crashed it into the pole out there on the way to the casino, didn't you? Yeah, it was rush hour, about 5 o'clock. And I had a big bag of weed on me. And I was nervous. And I wasn't drunk. I went over to Chi Chi's back then. Y'all remember that? Chi Chi's. Not Hong Kong, but the Chi Chi's. Is that any of those still around? And I'm all nervous because I don't want to get charged. Remember they bringing the German shepherds and the gas and the vests and tear up the car? And I'm like, yeah, let's go to the hospital. That's a good idea. I'm like, I got a couple cops. I'm like, so I'm driving down 169, right? Back then there was all, I'm like, oh, I'm 16. I'm in a hurry. It's a long drive and I'm a little high on marijuana. And I'm like, I need to go on the shoulder and pass these people because the light's turning red and there's about 500 cars in front of me. And I'd like to get to the casino in the next hour instead of the next 5 hours. And I like want to get home and I got to work tomorrow. And they just opened Mystic Lake and I'm like, can I just go ding 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 for a few minutes? And so 169 and 494 and I'm up there and I go, and I'm like, I can get through there. Well, guess what? Back then, I don't know if it was construction. There's no shoulder. I found that out. There used to be. It's a bridge, and then but as you approach, yeah, there's no shoulder there. I hadn't ever been out that way, and I'm a little high, and I'm in a hurry, and I'm like, I want to go around these cars real quick. Yeah. And then I'm laying on the ground, and I'm like, I'm the police, and I got, what's the first thing you do when you crash into a telephone pole there? For the second time. You just got your license last week, and now you crash Greg Troy's car, and you're way too much for this grocery getter. And you don't want them police to be like, hey, are you all right? What you got in your pockets? And all of a sudden, there's paramedics, and you're like, yeah, I'll talk to them guys. Let me go in their truck for a while. Because I got this nice bag of weed on me. I don't want you to take it or take me to jail. So yeah, I'll go talk to them guys for a while. So they bring me in the car. I'm like, yeah, maybe we need to go to the hospital. Get something on my neck. Just don't look under in my pants. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, so they're like, all right, let's go to the hospital. And all of a sudden, I'm feeling really good. Like, yeah, like at the next exit, I see honk, no Chi-Chi's. I'm thinking, all of a sudden, hey guys, I'm all right. I'll tell you what, we don't need to go to the hospital. We got rid of them police. Why don't you take and drop me off here at the Chi-Chi's? I'll go in there, have me you know, what do they call that? A Shirley Temple, you know them things. I drank about 5,000 of them. Where that place where my daddy run out there at the Downs. Remember that, the little white ball? Yeah, and I'm driving the golf carts wherever I want to go, and nobody's saying nothing to me. That place. And I'm like, yeah, yeah. And they're like, well, we don't. That's against policy. We can't really do that. And I'm thinking, yeah, but I got this bag of weed on me. I just want to get away from them cops. I'm fine. And my dad will come get, Tommy will come get me. I got him. He's still. And they're like, we can get in trouble for this. But it's only like 1995 back then, and they would still do that, right? If you ask them to do that today, they'd like, that rope, that old polar bear, they like tie you down and bring you to the hospital, okay? Yeah, but somehow I guess they like my hair or something. I convinced them to drop me off at the Chi-Chi's. Honk, honk, right? So I go in there and call Tommy, and that's that story. Never crashed a car again in my entire life. Somehow I learned how to drive, but yeah. So you're like, hmm. The significance. So I should have done this about 2 hours ago, but I got to talking again, didn't I? 27, 51. The significance of the splitting of the curtain in the temple is that the wall dividing people from God has been torn down by the death of Jesus Christ. The earth shook, rocks split apart. These are portents. What's a portent? See, sometimes even in here, you're like, hey, I've been around for a few years, but I ain't never heard that word. Somebody get me a dictionary. Portents. Sounds like Portside. Remember that? Lake Malags? Remember that? What's his name? Old Marvin the Martian. I'm starting to think I probably hang out with Marvin the Martian over there in Twin Bay or Fisher's Resort or Azades. Huh? Oh, remember the old island? Yeah. Now we talking. Oh, you remember them wall? Yo, hey, Amaretto Slim, you want to tell me a fishing joke again? Huh? Yeah. Huh? Come on. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. Hey. Oh, yeah. All them for like ever. Like I knew everybody in that whole lake. Hey, okay? Don't try to tell me a fishing joke. All right? Nah, I'm just playing. He seemed like a nice guy. He giving you just enough rope to hang yourself, little Nicky. You remember that rope that guy was driving? I mean, hey. But, you know. Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure I ran into Marvin the Martian a couple times. I'm just saying. Where does he work up there? Oh, yeah. Now that guy's kind of angry. And all of a sudden he got a girlfriend. And I'm back to that whole, hey, Marvin, what you got in your pockets, man? Like you like old dude. Like he's old, brah. Yeah, you can play the guitar a little bit. But that picture of that gal, she's about 25 years younger than you. You telling me she get in a boat with you? That one your aunt gave you, left you in a wheel when she died about a couple of years? Yeah, that one. You're trying to convince me you ain't got anything in your pockets and she's getting in a boat with you for like 3 hours and y'all's catching walleyes and then you're coming back in and filleting the fish and posting it on Facebook? What you empty your pockets, man. I want to see what you got. How you doing that? Because, I mean, you ain't that funny. And you're not that good looking and you're pretty old and you're trying to tell me you're flipping burgers? Hey, not a bad gig if you can get it. Where was it? These are portents of the arrival of judgment. Josephus records the appearance about AD 30 of a star resembling a sword and a spontaneous opening. Ain't that something? You see how God works? He ain't talking about plexiglass spontaneous combustion, but there go that word, and I ain't seen that word for a while. And we was talking about it, and all of a sudden, here it is. Spontaneous opening. Yeah, I know Langer's just like, yeah, that's that old more. That's why I played in the NHL, and you're sitting there running about all that. Yeah, remember me? I'm cool. Yeah, that's pretty bad, dude. 12 years in the NHL. That's right. I got it. Yeah. We was never really friends. I mean, he was like, hey, he kind of looked like, hey, if I might punch you in your nose hey. And I'm like, yeah, okay, see what I am. But him and Tiny Tim, they were real close, so like, I'm all right with that one. Don't listen too much of what I got, Langer say, okay? Because he real close with old Tiny Tim. Josephus records the appearance about AD 30 of a star resembling a sword and a spontaneous opening of the gates of the temple. Tombs opened. Jesus' climactic death inaugurated the kingdom of God by breaking the powers of death and establishing the final resurrection. These godly ones either did not enter the city until after Jesus' resurrection, or they were not raised until then. With Jesus at the first fruits, if that is the case, Matthew has included this episode to form a more powerful commentary on the impact of Jesus' death. The Roman officer, literally centurion, and the other soldiers were Gentiles. The Son of God. This may be an unqualified affirmation that Jesus is the unique Son of God, or possibly a more general affirmation of Jesus' innocence. They are responding to the earthquake and all that had happened as evidence of divine interest in this occasion. In Roman crucifixion, the bodies of criminals were often left to rot. Deuteronomy prohibits a body from remaining on a cross or a gallows overnight. Joseph's action was in accordance with Jewish law, while his motivation was probably his loyalty to Jesus. Pilate issued an order. Pilate was accommodating, probably because he did not believe Jesus was guilty of insurrection. Burial customs were important in Judaism, especially in contrast to the Greeks and Romans, who cremated their dead. Leaving a corpse unburied was the severest form of judgment. Death was lamented and mourned. The body was washed, anointed, and wrapped in burial clothes. The body was placed in a tomb that had been tunneled into a rock or carved into the side of a cave wall. The entrance to a tomb was often closed with a huge stone and sealed to prevent ceremonial uncleanness or robbery. There were also some cemeteries, clean linen, new tomb, both reflect ceremonial purity. Joseph had purchased the tomb for his own family, but it had not yet been used. This incident bolsters the truth of Jesus' resurrection. It is inconceivable that Matthew would fabricate such a story, since witnesses abounded who could have countered the claims. The temple had three main parts: the courts, the holy place where only the priests could enter, and the most holy place where only the high priest could enter, and only once a year to atone for the sins of the nation. The curtain separating the holy place from the most holy place was torn in two at Christ's death, symbolizing that the barrier between God and humanity was removed. Now all people are free to approach God because of Christ's sacrifice for our sins. Christ's death was accompanied by at least four miraculous events: darkness, the tearing in two of the curtain in the temple, an earthquake, and dead people rising from their tombs. Jesus' death, therefore, could not have gone unnoticed. Everyone knew something significant had happened. Joseph of Arimathea was a secret disciple of Jesus. He was a religious leader, an honored member of the High Council. Josephus courageously asked to take Jesus' body from the cross and to bury it. The disciples who publicly followed Jesus had fled, but this Jewish leader who followed Jesus in secret came forward and did what was right. The religious leaders took Jesus' resurrection claims more seriously than the disciples did. The disciples didn't remember Jesus' teaching about his resurrection, but the religious leaders were almost as afraid of Jesus after his death as when he was alive, because the tomb was hewn out of rock in the side of a hill. There was only one entrance. The tomb was sealed by stringing a cord across the stone that was rolled over the entrance. The cord was sealed at each end with clay. The leaders also asked that guards be placed at the tomb's entrance. The Pharisees failed to understand that no rock, seal, or guard could prevent the Son of God from rising. Yeah. See, I'm saying, so the Bible says we're supposed to be set apart, right? And if you're old Marvin the Martian, okay, but if you're listening to that same rock and roll music when you was like this here, how is that any different than looking at them naked ladies, really? Because the way they produce that music, and that's a whole nother debate. You got the play it backwards thing, Satan thing. You got all kind of other. You got all the. There's all kind of conspiracy theories. And that's the other thing. A lot of these conspiracy theories have become theories. That's the way they hide, right? They just say, "Oh, you're into those." Most of the non-fiction, remember the Jetsons? It's become non-fiction. Yep. So yeah, well, the grocery getter. I didn't like driving it, but I needed a car. Yeah. Yeah, so just some more stories. Just to corroborate my honesty that I'm telling you all that other stuff is bull butter. You remember that? Hmm. Yeah. Why? Yeah, it got real bad when I moved up here. Real bad. 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 Bad to the bone. Look, I don't like their music. Am I set apart or not? Am I different? What's different about me? Just because you don't look it. Hmm. Yeah. Why would I listen to the same music I listened to when I used to drink beer, look at naked ladies, and go, you know? You got my attention. Yeah, I did a few things. Average, screw up, met a few nice people along the way. Couple of real nice guys, remember them? A governor, the owner of the Minnesota Twins, remember that? I sat like on his lap on the way down to Florida. Oh, that's an interesting one, isn't it? The eagle has landed. Yeah. Hmm. He did not want me to know who he was. I sat next to one of the pole. What's his name? His brother, which is very interesting. Remember Kent Herbeck? Remember that guy? Oh, I'm thinking if I ran into him. Remember how I said I ain't never met a guy, but he's kind of bigger than me. He could probably drink a little more beer than I could. I'm just saying. I'm guessing. But yeah, he's like a foot taller and about this much wider. Yeah, he kind of a big guy. From down there in Bloomington, remember that guy? Yeah, like remember them real like super duper tripper duper 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 cool guys? Yeah, them. So I get on the plane and here there's I'm like, who? And so he the only reason I know, because if he would have lifted up that thing, remember how I'm working the FBI, right? Yeah. Remember that? So he sets his boarding pass down, and I'm thinking, and you're going, what are you doing in first class? I'm thinking it was the only seat. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go down to Fort Myers and watch the Twins, right? Yeah. I got my aunt down there. Remember the large white women? Yeah, we know about them on the farm. I know a few of them. And so Carl like to talk about large white women. And so you're like the guy, and remember I'm into security, right? At a real young age. So I'm pretty observant, you know. And obviously he being a real private person, not so. But they're back and forth. Who knows? It ain't nothing, no big deal. to run into the Minnesota owner of the Minnesota Twins on a first class flight down to Fort Myers from Minneapolis. Yeah, he probably does that like every day. So no big deal. But I wouldn't have even realized it was him. But he had put his boarding pass on the seat. And of course, being Mr. Nosy Little Nicky Boy, he gave me about a half a second and I seen it. And as soon as he saw me starting to look down, boy, he tried to, he tried to pick that thing up so fast. He did not want me to know who he was. Trust me. And I thought, that's what's the big deal? Because he was a real quiet guy. And he was reading a book called Eat, Pray, and Sleep or something. Remember that one? Yeah. Or what was that? Like Eat? Yeah, one of them. And he's like, excuse me, we know you like to ask a lot of questions, kid, but this is like my time. This is the only time nobody gets to bother me, and I want to read this book. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, it's not every day you sit next to the owner of the Minnesota Twins, and I'm thinking, can I just ask like one more question? He's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, oh, so I don't remember what I asked him, but I'm like, something about managing or something. Like, I'm like, oh, because I see we got that with that movie, right? The Minnesota, where they filmed it here, and that kid. I was something along the lines of about like how involved you are in actual management or something like getting involved and making deals and that. And he's like, well, we're the pole lads and we're into a lot of stuff. Like my brother, remember him? He's in the film industry and he makes that for one of the Brokeback Mountain. Oh, that guy. So you might want to be kind of nice to them, right? Because they I don't know, they own the men. You probably don't want to go talking to Leslie about them. Remember them police used to? Yeah, you probably want to be quiet about that one, especially down in Minneapolis. Just saying, right? So you're talking to the owner of the Minnesota Twins, and you're like, hey, I got one more question. He's like, all right, that's it. Then you go, I got a half hour, kid. I'm going to read my book and relax. This is my special time. And I don't like talk behind the plane. I'm like, okay. And he's like, no, we have a management company or something that I don't. And so I was kind of surprised that he basically said, yeah, I'm the owner and mostly me because my brother's over. I'm like the primary of the Twins part, which made me feel a little more comfortable since his brother was making Brokeback Mountain. But and he said he was Catholic, and I asked him that, of course, because I'm always talking about religion, so that was one of them. And I was a little surprised though that I got the impression that he kind of really is not involved in that he's in so many different things. Sure, he's at meetings and stuff, but they really leave that stuff to those professional guys in the management area that are, the scouts and all that. They really let them make the decisions. And he's the owner and he can, but he pretty much allows them to do what they want until, like a woman, right? She's there until she's not there until I decide to say, hey, hit the road, Jack. You're in charge, right? Yeah, that's what it was like. And I was like, okay, well, nice meeting you, sir. But yeah, he wanted to be for sure anonymous. So it was kind of cool though, because you're like, well, if I hadn't looked down and seen old Mr. Polad, I would have never known I was sitting next to the Minnesota Twins. So that was all right. And then yeah. So, I mean, I don't know where that came from. Because I was just trying to think. That's the only other thing other than that I like that I can prove, right? Sure. Oh, so all of a sudden, Sadie what? Sadie, what's her middle name? God, I'm such a stalker. I forgot her middle name. It's interesting. It's a very unique. I think it's her mother's grandma's. What is it? I could think of it. Ugh. Carol? Yeah, Sadie Carol Robertson. Remember them? And then her parents. Her mom comes from that family that goes back about 500 years, like to the very, very, like, you remember when the pilgrims got off the boat and they were like Christians? Yeah, that one. And oh yeah, remember they posted that picture and you're like, that's a quinky dink. Yeah, well, other than stuff like that, right? You're like, hey, yeah, I sat next to them. Oh, Christian Leitner. No, yeah. I'm trying to think, is there any other? Yeah, there was that one when I was at the LA airport. Drove by Phil Mickelson's house. I'm trying to think. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. What did you do? Yeah, I'm trying to think. Is there anybody that you know of? Because I know I've talked to people on the internet, and I'm trying to figure out who this guy is. Because he don't like me. We need to figure out who that guy is. Okay, Camper 7. That's me, that guy. Can you believe how nice my hair is? You never thought my hair was that nice, did you? You didn't think I cleaned up that normal, did you? You thought I was this Harry Ogram, huh? With a. Mm, I need a little help finding out who this guy is. And this secret doctrine. And this Jeff Larson. Yeah, he kind of cryptic too. They don't seem like really, really friendly people and really, really mean people, actually. Like, we want to murder you. And, like, if you tried that on Facebook or Twitter, as long as it wasn't me, yeah, you'd be in handcuffs. For sure. Real quick. Remember, if Zuckerberg ain't going to allow a fillet of fish, oh, I dare you to say something like that on Facebook. Yeah, cheese. Who's this guy here? I want to find out who that guy is. I'm thinking he's kind of small. He got that small man syndrome or something because he likes to threaten the camper. That one. So I'm saying, yeah, other than that, yeah, I mean, and I have my suspicions, right? Remember that? I'm pretty good at my radar. So I got a pretty good idea of some people I talk to. But that's really neither here nor. I mean, I'm just saying. If you can't prove nothing, you might as well not say nothing because all they're gonna do is use it to say, look at this crazy guy. Yeah. So it don't matter. And you're saying, hey, I'm subway or the highway or my way or the subway. Just in case Cal or Jeremy wants to call me a kike. Hey, let's eat some Subway right on the cam. Now, would a kike eat this? Probably if he was hungry enough. I mean, it's just vegetables and you're saying Can you get that chain smoking rabbi to say a little prayer over that and put still a little OU on there? Probably not. You're saying, hey, cheek cheek. You're like, all right. It's just vegetables and bread. Well, I need to know what's in that bread there. What's in that gooey stuff? That's where the problem's at. What you using? Is that microbial or that you got horse hoof in there, pig hoof? What? Let me see the list. I don't know about you, but kike or no kike, you're like, is it just me? But is that like weird? Like I just don't feel like eating a horse's hoof. Doesn't sound real appetizing to me. Just saying. Yeah, so if I wouldn't have been into security at a very young age, I would have never even known I sat next to the owner of the Minnesota Twins. I thought that was kind of neat. And he was a little ornery. Like I said, he wanted to read his book, Eat, Track, Pray or something. Mm-hmm. And then the guy sitting right behind me as soon as we landed, I'll never forget. He was on the phone, in the CIA, right? And he was like, "The Eagle has landed. Goodbye." I'm still trying to figure that one out. And you say, hey, all this weird stuff and it looking like you might end up in like a room with a bunch of angry little punks that want to hurt you and there's nowhere to go. And you wondering why a guy doing that. Yep. Show him. Yes, sir. This cheese here, I'm almost 100%. There's just, I bet the farm, it's got to be, they're not using, Subway's been around forever. There's no way they're using any horse hoof or any. I'm not sure it's not certified by a chain smoking rabbi, but I guarantee you there ain't no pig enzymes in this cheese or in this bread. There ain't nothing you can't eat. That's like flour and wheat, and that cheese there is going to be microbial, and those are vegetables. And if that ain't kosher, I don't know what is. So, if it make you feel better to get a chain smoking rabbi to come with his little sticker and say, hey, good, we're going to pray. Remember how we're going to pray? It's all right. Yep. I look clean around here. I'll be back next. Oh, checks in the mail. Yeah. You're like, okay. Sometimes you get hungry, so I bet even a cat would eat this probably. We was hungry enough. And remember, kids, hey, what? You can pick your nose. You can pick your friends, but you can't pick your friend's nose. So, let's see. I think so. The point is, it's not like because that guy did not want me to know who he was. Trust me. I mean, I barely. It was like a split second, and I wouldn't have had no idea. I mean, he done that before. And so, again, if you're wondering if I'm making any accusations against somebody, hey, I've told you my whole life. I mean, parts of it. Go check it out. You remember them Navy guys in Bremerton? This is all they do all day long. They go talk to people and go, hey, tell me this story. What's it? They go listen to the videos like this here, and they go, hey, tell me about that time. And then they just sit there for hours listening. And if you did that enough, you'd go, maybe that guy over there should leave me alone in my garbage can and never come back here ever again. He should go visit his mom somewhere else. And then like the guy doing that there, yeah, like he ought to we ought to figure out like maybe you ought to leave old camper boy alone. Yeah. And then that polar bear there. Somebody ought to, I mean, he's pretty big. You're gonna have to find him a really big. You ought to say, hey, you want to go to Domino's or something, get a pizza, and can you be nice? Listen, we did some research. We checked the gut. He was trying to just be nice. He really, really thought you're a guy, and he didn't mean any harm. So, can you lighten up a little bit, man? Could you, dude? Yeah. Library. What happened at the library? What in the heck happened? Oh, I'm gonna start a new video.